All right, today we're going to unpack something really powerful, a roadmap for your entire life and career. And it comes straight from one of the most famous entrepreneurs on the planet, Jack Ma. Now, this isn't your typical success story, not at all. It's actually a blueprint for life that's built on a whole lot of failure. So he kicks things off with this idea that, honestly, it goes against everything we've ever been taught. He says, make enough mistakes. Don't worry. You fall, you stand up. Enjoy it. I mean, not just put up with mistakes, but actually make enough of them. He wants you to enjoy falling down and getting back up. And this idea right here, this is the key to his entire way of thinking. And, this isn't just some fluffy, feel-good quote. This comes from a guy who actually lived it. I mean, before he built this global empire, Alibaba, Jack Ma faced an absolute mountain of rejection. We're talking about applying for dozens of jobs and getting turned down by every single one. He even applied to Harvard, not once, not twice, 10 times, and got rejected every single time. So yeah, when this guy says to enjoy failure, he knows exactly what he's talking about. Okay, so this brings us to the very first big idea in his advice. And it's all about completely reframing what it means to mess up. We're taught to see mistakes as these huge liabilities, right? Well, Jack Ma says, forget all that. He sees them as your single greatest asset. And what's so cool is the way he talks about it. He doesn't just call a mistake a learning experience. We've all heard that before. No, he calls it a wonderful revenue. Just think about that for a second. Revenue. It means every single time you fail, you're not actually losing anything. You're earning something incredibly valuable that you can then invest in your future. And just to put a number on that, 30. He was rejected from 30 different jobs when he was first starting out. I mean, can you even imagine the kind of persistence that takes? And then, of course, there's Harvard. They told him no 10 different times. This wasn't just some random job saying thanks, but no thanks. This was one of the most famous universities in the world rejecting him over and over and over again. And in this quote, you can really feel how alone he was. It wasn't just that doors were closed. It was that pretty much everyone around him thought he was, well, crazy. They said his ideas were foolish, that his way of thinking would never work. Just imagine being told that constantly. It makes his eventual success just this incredible lesson in believing in yourself no matter what. Okay, so with that foundation, this idea of embracing mistakes, May then lays out this super clear age-by-age plan for your life. And it all kicks off with your 20s. He argues this is a decade that's not about leading, it's about learning. And maybe most importantly, it's about following. So here it is, the whole roadmap. And it's actually really simple when you look at it. Before you're 30, you follow a good boss. Then, from 30 to 40, you start working for yourself. Your 40s? That's when you really focus on what you're good at. In your 50s, you start working for young people, investing in them. And then, once you hit 60, it's time to just enjoy life. So let's zoom in on that first stage, before you're 30. May makes this really interesting comparison. He says if you go to a big company, you're basically learning how to be a part of a huge machine. You learn process, which is great. But if you go to a small company, that's where you learn about passion. You learn about dreams, and you learn how to do a ton of different things all at once. And honestly, this might be the most important piece of advice for anyone in their 20s. He says it's not about which company you go to. Forget the big, flashy brand name. The single most important thing is which boss you follow. A really good boss will teach you, they'll mentor you, and they'll basically set the foundation for the rest of your career. Okay, so you spent your 20s learning how to follow. Now come your 30s and 40s. This is when you step out on your own and really start building. Think of this as your prime construction phase. And he's really specific here. Between 30 and 40, if you've got that entrepreneurial bug, this is your time to work for yourself. Then, when you hit your 40s, you switch gears, you consolidate. You stop trying a million new things and you start perfecting the things you're already great at. And you got to appreciate his honesty here because it's pretty brutal. He says that by your 40s, trying to jump into a completely new field, well, it's just too late. He says the rate of dying is too big. Your experience is your superpower at this point, so you've got to use it. Focus on what you know. All right, so after all those years of building for yourself, the roadmap takes this really interesting turn. The last parts of your career, he says, they're not really about you anymore. They're about investing in the future and, well, finally enjoying the present. So between the ages of 50 and 60, your focus completely flips. Your job is now to work for young people. You invest in them, you rely on them because he truly believes they can do it better.
You go from being the doer to being the mentor. And then, after 60, it's time to spend time on yourself. Go enjoy the sunshine on the beach. You've absolutely earned it.
So, okay, we've got the roadmap, right? But what's the fuel? What's the engine that's going to power you through all of these different stages, especially through all those mistakes we talked about? Well, it all comes down to having the right mindset. And Ma basically asks the ultimate question: what's the real difference between the people who truly succeed and, well, everyone else? What separates them? Because it's not just about being smart or getting lucky. He says it's something way more fundamental. And here's his answer. He calls it the DNA of success, and it's got 3 key parts. First, you have to be optimistic about the future, always. Second, successful people never complain. And third, they are always trying to solve other people's problems. And that last one, that's where the real magic happens. I mean, this might be one of the best pieces of business advice ever. The opportunity always lies where people complain. Think about it. Every single complaint you hear is basically a hidden opportunity. So when you hear people complaining, don't join in. Instead, you should be asking yourself, hey, is there a way I can fix this? Because if you can solve that complaint, you've got yourself a business. But look, just having the idea, that's not enough. May points out this classic trap that we all fall into. You have these amazing, world-changing ideas in the evening, right? But then the sun comes up and you just go back to your normal office job. The real difference maker is taking action. It's about being the person who's brave enough to actually build the thing that everyone else is just dreaming about. And that's really what this is all about. This isn't just Jack Ma's story, it's a challenge for you. Remember, opportunity is everywhere. It's just disguised as people complaining. So the only real question left for you is, what problem are you going to solve?